Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining us from around the world. As a matter of fact, go ahead and put in the chat box over down there on the right where you're checking in from, because literally as of it was a couple weeks ago, we have 39 countries represented here at Top Gun Options. Extremely fired up to get airborne with our newest batch of potential full throttle folks that we're going to be starting here very, very shortly. Maricopa, Arizona, North Carolina, Rockford, Illinois, Colorado. I used to live out in Napertucky, out in Naperville, out there near Rockford. Jorge, Puerto Rico, Peter from Jersey, Atlantic City. I was born outside of Atlantic City down in Summers Point, and lived in Margate. And used to drive, I was a valet at the casinos. Montreal, Poconos, used to ski at Jack Frost and Camelback. Vacation in Maui. All right, man. Petaluma, love California. Sweet. China. Okay. There's an Aussie. Okay, good. We have a couple Australians here. Good. Awesome, folks. Well, let's go ahead and get airborne. This is full throttle training. All times are going to be Eastern. Let me give you a quick review of what we're going to be doing for the next couple days. Tonight, I'm doing our welcome aboard brief. I do this after the market is closed. Why? So nobody's sitting here going, hey, where are the trades? I came for some trades. Where's the trades? Nothing, folks. No trading tonight. The market is closed, obviously. And we want to focus. I want to give you a little bit of a background about who I am, Top Gun Options, and then tomorrow we're going to get live in the market in our primary live trade brief and start trading at 1 o'clock Eastern. Tomorrow night at this time, I'm going to give you a little bit of a demonstration of the full throttle training that you're going to get. You're going to get access to 8 live training sessions where we start off with this is a call, this is a put, this is the market, and we end up in some advanced tactics down the road and teaching you how to trade successfully. And then this is a change. 10 a.m. Wednesday morning is when we're going to do accelerated retirement, and then after that, we're going to close our doors. So this is going to give you a pretty good sample of what we do here at Top Gun Options, and then we're gonna close the door. It was going to be at 1 o'clock Wednesday. Actually have to depart for the Caribbean. We were going to leave Thursday, but it's going to be a little rough down here in Fort Lauderdale. My buddy's got an 88-foot Pershing, so I'm heading down to the Caribbean. We're going to be leaving on Wednesday. Some of the benefits of trading. So welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. Here is my promise to you. After we get done Wednesday morning, I'm going to show you how 2019 can be your most profitable year ever. And I'm going to show you our proprietary trading methodology and risk management process. Whether you're new to options, you don't even know what an option is, or you're just poking around to see what we offer here, you're going to get a lot out of this. And I'm also going to teach you a top secret tactic. Now, there's the first thing you're going to learn tonight. There's no such thing as an options strategy. It's called a tactic, right? A strategy is saving for college, short-term income generation, buying a Pershing in 6 months. Tactics, buying or selling covered calls, cash-secured puts, and iron condor. Those are called tactics, folks. And one of the tactics I'm going to teach you hopefully tomorrow, but no later than Wednesday, is something called a tredge. And I'm going to explain in a little bit what a tredge is. And also, I'm going to teach you another tactic called a burner trade. Yep, afterburner, absolute, potentially profitable trade that sees massive returns in a short amount of time. So remember those words, tredge and burner trade, because that's what I'm going to teach you during our time together. Ladies and gentlemen, trading is a form of combat when you think about it. Why? Because there's a winner and there's a loser. And at Top Gun Options, I plan to put you on the right side of that trade. So do me a favor right now, silence all your distractions, get rid of this electronic nicotine. Grab a pen, piece of paper, whatever you need to take notes. Going to be taking notes for the rest of our time together. Yes, somebody just asked, everything's recorded, folks, and it's going to be placed on a replay page. So if Whiz, I got to work Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning, don't worry about it, folks. Everything is recorded and put on a replay page so you can watch it, okay? And stay to the end tonight. First of all, let's get a show of hands here, because where's my polls right there? I'm going to launch my first poll. Here we go. Select the poll. What's your current options knowledge. Okay, everybody take a look on your screen there and do me a favor and vote. We have nearly over 2,500 people registered for this full throttle training. I want to kind of gauge where we are. 5% ish. What's an option? I know some calls and puts. I trade spreads, or I'm a Jedi Master. And if you don't know what Jedi Master means, you're probably not one. So what's an option? I know calls and puts. I trade spreads. And I'm a Jedi Master. 60% of you voted, about 50 more seconds. Here's what I'm going to tell you. You have got to stay to the end tonight. Top Gun Options has been around. This is, a couple months will be our 10th year anniversary. 10 years I've been teaching retail traders of all skill levels how to trade successfully. Tonight is the first time I'm trying something new. You have got to stay to the end of it, folks. And you're going to, this has never been done before at Top Gun Options. First time in 10 years that I'm doing this. All right, here we go. Going to close the poll, and I'm going to share these results with you. Here are your potential fellow squadron mates. Peter, I should be. There you go. Check that out, man. Almost just about everybody except a couple folks, either no calls and puts or trade spreads. This is perfect. Then Top Gun Options is exactly what you need, and you're going to have to definitely stay until the end so you can get this special. And I'm only doing this tonight. This is why this is the first time in 10 years. Why should you listen to me? Wiz, don't even know who you are. Matter of fact, you just told me your call sign, Wiz, and I didn't even know that. Why should you listen to me? In nearly 10 years, folks, we've seen about $4 million in notional profit. It's a little over an 80% average annualized return. That's been in all market conditions, whether it's up, going down, sideways, whatever, with limited drawdowns. Here's why you should also listen to me. A couple of years ago, the smart money said what? Hillary Clinton wins the election running away, and God forbid this guy wins, the stock market and the economy will implode. Citigroup, 2 days before the election, said Hillary Clinton wins running away. If this guy wins, we all die. What an absolute bunch of idiots. I love or hate the guy, okay? And we can talk about that over a beer or at one of our live events. I'm buying everybody around. We could talk about it, but folks, guess what we predicted? And we rode this. The S&P 500 was up 22%. Our average portfolio during that time was up 110%. That was the return on risk during that time. The smart money missed it. Absolutely missed it, folks. We also predicted this, the implosion about a year and a half ago of what? The FANGs. Actually, the TFANGs. The T's silent. We'll get to the T in a second. I told you that when they started showing a little bit of roaches in the kitchen, the lights were going to come on and they were going to get hammered. They have absolutely imploded. They've come back lately, but we pounded these guys into the dirt over the past year and a half. Facebook, Twitter, the Googles, all these guys, man, absolutely got pounded. We predicted it. Okay, Wiz, you said short all that stuff. What did you target instead? I said get out of every FANG and get into what? A stock we call the Death Star. Amazon. Ladies and gentlemen, Amazon is up 110%. And don't get me wrong, we had bullish trades on Apple. We had bullish trades on Facebook. But once it started to smoke a little bit, I said, let's get out of here before everybody else does. We got into Amazon, up 110% since we made this call, over $55,000 in profit year to date. Oh, and this has been awesome. This has been popcorn eating while also making money and just laughing. A couple weeks ago, we predicted what? 6 weeks ago, 5.5 to 6 weeks ago, I said one of the reasons the president is just pounding the hell out of the Federal Reserve is because he might walk away from a trade deal with China. And he needs a boogeyman. Walking out to Marine One. Oh my God, almost offended the Marines there by calling them Air Force. He said what? Jerome Powell's nuts, the Fed's nuts. They need to cut rates. They need to put quantitative easing back. They need to start pumping this market up. I even said it, folks. I'm like, what are you, high, Mr. President? The economy's smoking. GDP's great. Jobs are good. Everything's good. And then it hit me. I said, the dude is going to walk away, or at least threaten away from the trade talks. Market absolutely imploded. Now he's got two boogeymen. He's got China and he's got the Fed, and he can just stand there and go, it's not me, folks. The market's down for other reasons. I predicted that 5.5, 6 weeks ago. Last week, you saw just about everybody in the financial media wake up to this fact that, whoa, maybe he did this for that. We predicted that, folks, and we nailed it. Real quick, though, whether it's the financial media, your brother-in-law who manages money, whatever, let me give you a flash intelligence report. Nobody cares more about your money than who? You. It cracks me up when people, my college roommate manages my money. He does not care more about your money than you. Read that sentence a couple times and let it sit in. Learn how to do it. It ain't rocket surgery, folks. If I can do it and the tens of thousands of folks that have done it here at Top Gun Options can do it, you can do it too. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Matthew Buckley. For those of you who don't know me, welcome aboard. My call sign is Whiz. Before we go any further, let's just say that not all fighter pilots are running around out there with Gucci call signs like Maverick or Wolfman, or some of us go out and earn our call sign, and it's usually by doing something stupid. So I will take no questions about how I earned my call sign. And some people are guessing in the chat box. It's a family show, folks, so let's move on. But I flew. Yes, Miriam, it is because I'm very intelligent. That's what my mom thinks, by the way. My dad, for my naval career, he passed away a couple years ago. My dad knew how I earned my call sign. My mom, until this day, thinks it's because I was smart. Oh, boy. Anyway, so F-18 Hornet pilot for about 15 years. I graduated from the Navy Fighter Weapons School known as Top Gun, and did some cool things when I was very fortunate enough to fly for the Navy. Flew in a jet over Pakistan. Got to fly with my buddy on the Blue Angels. Was an LSO, a landing signal officer. So when I wasn't flying and my buddies were trying to get aboard day or night, I stood on the back of the boat and helped them get aboard. Matter of fact, I can't hear anything almost right now. I've been fighting the VA for years for my hearing disability, but the VA could care less. Anyway, it's a long folks, I'm going to try and save all the questions to the end so we can get a good flow going here. But Ben, I have to read this one. I always hear you say rocket surgery. Do you say that on purpose? Isn't the saying it's not rocket science? Ben, you figured me out, man. I'm going to drop a bunch of whizzisms as we go to make sure people are paying attention. I actually learned how to give presentations at Top Gun. They actually, for 8 hours, you're ripped apart in what's called a murder board. So yeah, it is rocket surgery. So anyway, Anyway, I also flew 44 combat sorties over Iraq. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, my old ship, the USS Abraham Lincoln, is sailing right into here. So if you've never seen what the Persian Gulf looks like, that is Kuwait, that's Iraq, and right here is all Iran. Me going back to try and land aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, which just pulled in the Gulf the other day. So 44 combat sorties over Iraq. Wow, Wiz, it's really cool, awesome. Got out. Did some motivational speaking. I still do motivational speaking. I wrote a book, From Sea Level to Sea Level, about how I essentially went from the Navy to the corner office of a Wall Street firm. So you might be sitting there going, all right, man, how'd you go from the cockpit essentially to the trading pit? Well, you don't join the Navy to become rich. Obviously, you join the Navy to serve your country. But I was always interested in finance. And my dad used to sit there and read his newspaper, and on the back of the newspaper was all these hieroglyphic symbols. And I asked him what they were, and he kind of explained what stocks were to me, and how if I went and got that Happy Meal after school, if I owned stock in the company, it might go up and I might make money. I was always fascinated with the market and obviously making money. But as a young naval officer and a fighter pilot, I started to apply everything I learned in the cockpit. Having a strategy, being disciplined, contingency planning, not being emotional, using a checklist, knowing when to get out of or into a situation before it got better or worse. And I applied all of those things to my trading with incredible results, ladies and gentlemen. But why? Okay, I get it. Why Top Gun Options? Well, in 2000, ladies and gentlemen, I joined the conga line of other Navy, Marine, Air Force pilots, leaving the military to go be what? Rich airline pilots, working 1 day a month and hanging out with flight attendants in Cancun. I got picked up by a reserve F-18 squadron, so I got to fly Hornets for the Naval Reserve out of Naval Air Station Fort Worth. Got hired by American Airlines, and that was the lottery, ladies and gentlemen. Fly fighters on the weekend as a slack-jawed reservist and be a rich airline pilot. My first flight for American Airlines was scheduled for the morning of September 11th, 2001. Right? Was packing, getting ready to head out. And my wife came out and said, "Hey, man, you better come look at the TV. Somebody hit the World Trade Center with an airplane." I said, "Hey, man, I'm in the zone. I got to get going. Probably an idiot in a small airplane in bad weather." She said, "You better come look at the TV." And I knew that tone, which she doesn't use that often. Went out. Beautiful day in New York City. Big smoking hole. I was going through my mental aviation checklist of how that could have happened. And the next plane hit. I immediately, without hesitation, folks, I remember it clear as day, knew we were under attack. I raced into the bedroom. My uniform, my American Airlines uniform, still in the plastic. Jumped into my flight suit, literally, threw my boots on, and I think I broke the land speed record getting out to Naval Air Station Fort Worth. Got out there as they went to a combat posture and closed the air station. I made it out to the squadron. Another one of my buddies, an F-18 pilot, made it out. And the guys next door, the Texas Air National Guard, the TANG, gave us a call and said, "Hey, 4 of us are out here. Get over here to the KAOC." They're tied into NORAD, right? North American Air Defense. And 4 F-16 pilots from the Texas Air National Guard and 2 Navy Reserve pilots sat there, and we briefed. As we briefed to get airborne and fly combat air patrol over the Southwest United States, the Pentagon got hit. Absolutely incredible and surreal day. I went from potentially flying in an airliner that day to shooting one down, to maybe even shooting down a squadron mate. Out of the 17, 18 guys that flew Hornets in my reserve squadron, about 15 of them were airborne that day. Imagine being ordered to shoot down an airliner full of you, let alone one flown by your best friend. So incredibly surreal over the next couple days. I actually scrambled a couple days later and put down a private airplane into a grass strip that was flying near the president's prohibited airspace down at Crawford. Short story long, what happened? I got a photocopied letter a week after the attacks from American Airlines that said, "Dear crew member." When I got hired, it was color stationery and signed in ink by the chief pilot. This was a photocopied, and it was off-centered too. Like they made thousands of copies. "You're furloughed," which is polite airline speak for laid off. In the blink of an eye, I lost my job. I lost my health care. I lost we had just bought a small house with what little savings we had since we lived in base housing in the military. I lost it all. But in the blink of an eye, man, I sat there and said, "You didn't lose it all, you jerk. Pull yourself together. There's 3,000 dead people in a smoking hole, man, and their families are destroyed and ruined forever. Knock it off. Stop feeling sorry for yourself." So what did I do? I started applying myself to what was kind of a hobby up until that point, my trading. Got an 8-month-old son, got a young bride. They got to eat. I have to live. So I started really applying myself to my trading as a full-time business, and it worked incredibly well. Eventually, I popped up on the radar of one of the largest options trading firms in the world. Everybody know that building? Looks familiar? The Chicago Board of Trade, the CBOT, CBOT. You see these big, beautiful windows? That was our trading floor. I popped up on the radar of one of the largest options trading firms in the world, and they said, "Hey, come up here, man. Show us about some of that leadership, that execution. We know you're a little old retail trader, but come on up." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You guys are the smart money, man. I'm little old me." You know who I'll tell you in a second who I reminded myself of, but I did it. I made the jump. We drove north out of Fort Worth up to Chicago. I helped build a hedge fund. I helped manage this multi-billion-dollar company. I helped build the retail brokerage options house. Little old me, folks. I was the managing director for this $2.5 billion volatility arbitrage firm. And I also was the founder and CEO of the Options News Network, ONN.TV it was called, about 2-3 years, man. We were essentially the CNBC for options. I hosted 3 or 4 of the programs, had an absolute blast. We gave retail traders such as yourself a behind-the-scenes look at what was going on in the options market. Now, no offense, who did I feel like? I felt like Valentine in Trading Places, man. You remember this poor guy from the street talking about G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip and pork bellies and everything. I was little old me, man. but I knew what a call was and a put was, and I applied everything I learned flying fighters as an officer to this multi-billion-dollar trading firm and had an absolute blast. Anybody here from Chicago? Anybody from the Great White North or Chicago? I like to call it the Miami of Canada. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate that. Well, I lived out in Naperville, Napertucky, and no offense, I love the people, love the wine, the food. You can keep it, man. I'm a beach guy. I don't know if you guys can see. It's getting ready to be sunset down here in Fort Lauderdale. I grew up on the Jersey Shore. I need water. I need a beach. I need sun. So we moved our squadron down here to South Florida and haven't looked back. I always wanted to build a military-themed training and trading system, and I did it. That's an old picture, obviously. This little guy here on the right is now 19. I think I dropped him on his head when he was a kid because he wants to take after his old man, but he wants to be a fighter pilot in the Marine Corps. And then my boy Jack, he wants to go in the Navy, and then my daughter Keely, who's 11, going on 30, is not allowed to leave the house until I am no longer on this planet. So that's me. That's how I went from the cockpit to the trading pit. And like I said, the reason I do these on Monday nights after market close is because you need to hear this stuff. Because I go play secret shopper at all these other places, and some dude or lady throws 90 slides at you and says, hey, give me a lot of money. You don't even know who they are, man. So I wanted to introduce myself and my family. Okay, 21 minutes. That's perfect. It was supposed to be 20. I'm a minute over. Let's stay on time. Let's stay on target. Here's what we want to do. And I do. Squids need water, whoever said that. I appreciate it. Now, I'm going to talk you through my trading cockpit and what we do here at Tompkin Options. Like I said, I don't do 1,000 PowerPoint slides and say, give me some money. And trust me, you're going to see tomorrow and Wednesday, I'm going to open the doors. You're going to be in actual trade briefs with members who are currently on board. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. How do you find a trade? How do you trade and everything like this? And even, Tamara, Harry, all these longtime TGO folks, I love that they come to these just for mutual support and hanging out. It brings a tear to my eye. So this is going to be new to you guys, and I want to run it past you. So how do we successfully trade, right? I mean, and what's interesting is, well, let me get a show of hands. What is the average win percentage? What is the average win percentage that a professional trader shoots for? 30%, 50%, 100%? Go. Put in the chat box. Tell me your opinion of what you think the average. I got a 70, I got a 30, I got a 70, 70, 50, 70, 60, 55, 55, 60, 60, 50, 80, GJ. Salim Kramer is correct, 40%. Hey, you, Gary, 77. Okay, you ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? A professional trader during all my time on Wall Street wants to win on average 60% of the time. Now, for those of you who posted lower, think about it. If you ain't winning at least 51% of the time, you're going to go broke. And anybody who said over 60, my personal is 70, guys. My personal mission objective is 70, and we're hovering right around that year today. But listen to me, you can't have 100. For those of you who had above 70, that's physically impossible, right? So Ishmael, we're going to get to that. I love that. So how do we do this? Write this down. This is part of our new SOP here at Tompkin Options, FMT. And again, whoever asked earlier, rocket surgery. So here's what we need to do. Write this down, FMT. First, you need to find the trade. Okay, Wiz, wow, I paid to get in here. Actually, you didn't, so you ready for this? You got to find the trade, you got to manage, and you got to target it for max profit or get out for minimum loss. Okay, so I'm going to dig into each one of these, 1, 2, and 3. So let's do step 1. How do we find the entry? How do you find a trade, man? Wiz, I wake up in the morning, I put my bunny slippers on. I watch what I call Comedy Central, CNBC. And, if there's a good looking guy or lady on there who has a nice stock, I buy it. Come on, man. I'm going to break you all this stuff. Here's how we find the entry here at Tompkin Options. This is our methodology, okay? And thank God for the United States military and the Navy because I learned it from them. You ready? It's called SOT. And yeah, somebody just asked, at the top of one of the screens you're looking at me at, or where this slide is, there's a little camera. It's a little camera icon at the top, and you can take pictures of this. Please do, because it's going to be part of your trade journal after you become a member here, okay? SOT. What do I mean by that? Many of you are a very tactical trader. What do you mean? I just told you. I'm watching CNBC, Fox, Bloomberg, or my buddy over at the water cooler told me about this stock, or I watch a guy on TV who's got a cowbell and an air horn and uses sound effects. You're very tactical. You don't know what you're doing for dinner tomorrow night, let alone what you're bullish or bearish on out 2 years from now. We take this approach, folks. Strategic. Tomorrow afternoon and Wednesday morning, I'm going to give you a strategic brief. I'm going to treat you as an admiral or a general. I'm going to be some lowly lieutenant or major, whatever, giving you a brief. Ma'am, sir, here's what's going on around the globe. Iran and the United States getting very, very close to conflict. North Korea lighting off bottle rockets again. Quantitative easing over in the EU. How's Japan doing with Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda? What's going on around the globe economically, politically, and militarily? Ladies and gentlemen, I could ripple off in the next 4 minutes massive things that have happened military, politically, and economically around the globe that impacted your stock or your ETF. How many of you woke up one day a couple years ago and said, what the hell is a Greek debt crisis? And why is my 401k a 201k? We made $35,000 trading the Greek debt crisis. Vladimir Putin invades Crimea, eastern Ukraine, shoots down a civilian airliner. Anybody remember what the VIX, the volatility index, did? How about something goes bump in the night between Iran and in my book, folks, subtle plug, in one of my chapters, I talk about almost shooting down an Iranian helicopter that was flying at the USS Kitty Hawk. Almost shot this guy down. Probably would have started a war. $100, $150 oil, what's that going to do to the market? So you have to have what we call SA, situational awareness. After about a 10 to 15 minute strategic brief, I'm going to get operational and talk about what? Here, domestically, what's going on economically, politically? What's the GDP doing, the jobs numbers? Who's got earnings? How about politically, folks? Anybody remember these government shutdowns? I miss the government shutdowns. I miss John Boehner versus Obama. Why? Because it was printing money. I think we're going to have a government shutdown. Let's get long volatility. The government ain't shutting down forever. Hey, we made some good money getting a long volatility. Guess what's going to happen? John Boehner, he's going to go smoke, smell like cigarettes, come in with his quivering lip, start crying, and open the government in about 3 days. Bearish on volatility. You have to know about all these things, folks. What about what the Fed's doing? Quantitative easing, right? After about a 10 to 15 minute brief operationally, then what am I going to do? Get tactical, and then we can trade. My TGO members know that during the first 20, 30 minutes of any brief is covering the intelligence, folks. How many people in this room, and I have a lot of buddies that run companies, hedge funds, and people that do technical analysis and Ichimoku, scratch my back, and reverse doji with the twist cup handles. Does anybody in this room know of a broker that lets you trade off the left side of the chart? How many of you in this room have a broker that lets nobody? We have to predict what the right side of a chart is going to look. And I get technical analysis, folks. We do it. We'll do a poor man's technical analysis. But every event that I just rippled off to you, ain't no technical analysis pointing that. Does anybody remember a couple of years ago, Donald Trump sitting in his golf course in New Jersey? It's the name of a book now. We were sitting in a live trade brief. I am going to rain fire and fury down on North Korea, the likes of this world has never seen. Show me what the right side of the chart looks like after that, Mr. Technical Analysis guy. That's what we do here at Top Gun Options, okay? And we have trades that are strategic out a couple years. We trade the front months, and then we also trade weekly options as well. So in our different live trade briefing services, there are different strategies and tactics, different skill levels, which we're going to learn about in a little bit. So now we have some situational awareness as to what's going on around the globe, domestically, politically, militarily. We take a look at the fundamentals of the stock or the ETF or the index. What's going on, right? The fundamentals. Then we look at what? We also take a look at volatility. I'm going to give you a couple whizisms, maybe one tonight and the rest in our live trade briefs about volatility. And then, of course, we're going to take a look at technical analysis. Obviously, the market right now, the S&P 500, going through the 50-day moving average, the 200 days kind of here. These act as what we call magnets, which we'll look at tomorrow. So if God, I don't mean to bemoan the technical analysis that much, but we used to burn witches too, right? In my Chicago firm, if you mention the words technical analysis, they threw you out the window. So write this down as well. Find the entry FVT, okay? FVT, write that down. Yep, F. Okay, FVT. Let's take a look at a recent example. We love this stock. This is in our portfolio. It's called CSX, Charlie Sierra X-Ray. Everybody know the stock? It's a railroad stock, right? Warren Buffett loves it. Warren Buffett loves a lot of things that we love, usually after we love it. So this is a good example. Had great earnings, very, very bullish call. The CEO could not have been more bullish on the economy and also his company. So we looked at CSX recently, right? So I'm going to take a look at a trade that we did. This was what, last week? Yeah, this was this last week. So the success story continues. We're very long-term bullish on CSX. Actually, tomorrow I'll show you live in the market our long CSX position. We're bullish on CSX out to January of 2021, folks. Long-term bullish. Everybody know? Let me ask you all a question. And again, I delve deeply into politics. I'll tell you my 2 cents, and we love each other here at Top Gun Options. But what's the one thing that it looks like Democrats and Republicans might actually be able to agree on going forward? Somebody give me. It's got one word and it begins with it. Well, what is it? What do you think we might even remotely possibility get done? You got it, man. Infrastructure. Rick, Brando, Scott. Infrastructure. Right. The 3 R's, ladies and gentlemen: railroads, roads, and runways. So there's the bullish case on that. However, look at what happened. Great earnings report. This is what we call a gap move. CSX is just kind of hanging out here right above this red line, which is the 50-day moving average. That E right there stands for earnings, and what happened? This is what we call a gap move. It gapped up. Well, I'm going to teach you to how to deal with these things. So stocks do only a couple things if they gap up. They either do what's called fill the gap, and if it does and doesn't hold here, it's bearish. They either fill half the gap and then stay higher, or they do what CSX did. Gap, there's half the gap. It really hasn't even, it's hovered. This is a very, very, very bullish chart. So what did I do? I just looked at the fundamentals. I looked at volatility before we got into this trade, and just a little bit of quick technical analysis. Okay, so what did we do? It's hanging out for a little bit. So I'm going to teach you, hopefully this week in our time together, that we can actually do what is called a range-bound trade. I looked at something called the at-the-money straddle, and I came up with what would be a good-looking trade. So there's the F. Step 1 in our 3-step planning process is what? Find the entry, meaning find the stock and find the entry. Now, we want to manage risk. Now, some of you sitting there going, okay, this dude spent 15 years flying a fighter aircraft, and he's going to talk to me about managing risk? Yeah, I am. Folks, well, my wife would say, I love myself too much to go out and get killed, but, well, that's part of it. But I also want to succeed. First of all, yeah, I don't want to die, but I also want to win. How do you win? You manage what potentially could go wrong. You manage your risk. Let me ask all of you a question right now. When did this aviator, this is a Canadian F-18, a CF-18, a couple years ago, he was practicing for an air show. He was at low altitude, about 200 feet above the runway, with his nose parked in the air, and he was demonstrating the slow speed capability of the CF-18 Hornet. Very slow, 85 knots, folks. You could have, if you were on the runway underneath him in your car, you could have looked up and passed him. That's how slow he was going. Well, as he got towards the end of the runway, his right engine failed. In the blink of an eye, and write this down, CF-18 crash, watch the YouTube video, how quickly this happens. In the blink of an eye, the jet rolls over and this guy ejects. Look at his head. That's 40 Gs, 40 instantaneous Gs with that rocket motor. And this aircraft is horizontal to the horizon. This seat ejected him out and immediately turned him up so he didn't eject into the ground. Now, I have a question for you. When did this CF-18 pilot make the decision to eject and get out of that aircraft? Ready, go. When did he decide to get out of the jet? I like it. I like what I'm seeing. Okay. Just in time. Well, that's definitely a good answer there. The moment he lost control, engine, too late, just in time, instinct. Harry got it. Salim, you put it right through the bullseye as well. Rick got it. Michelle, yep. You ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? That Canadian F-18 pilot made the decision to eject out of his aircraft. You ready? Before he ever got into it. Before he ever got into that aircraft, he knew when he was going to eject. He made the decision to eject from this aircraft in the brief. Tomorrow afternoon, you're going to be in a live trade brief. There's a reason I use the terminology I do at Top Gun Options. He sat in the brief and said, we call it chair flying. I'd chair fly a mission. All right, I'm going to launch off the catapult. If this goes wrong, I'm going to do that. I'd fly a mission. So ladies and gentlemen, he briefed and said, okay, if I lose an engine at low altitude, low airspeed, I'm out of the jet. Okay, moving on to the next maneuver. Does everybody understand this? Exactly. You ready for this? Before you place a trade, before you get into the jet, you know when you're getting out for max profit or minimum loss. This is why it's called a brief. So I appreciate the answers, but doesn't that make sense, folks? Watch the video of it on YouTube, Google it, and see how quickly. If that guy had to think, if he waited, I think they did the math. I just blinked. A half a blink of an eye, they said if he had waited, he would have ejected into the ground. That's what I'm going to teach you here at Top Gun Options, to manage risk. Who? You. Your brother-in-law, your mom, your whoever. Nobody's going to manage risk in your trading other than you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to teach you at Top Gun Options that we have what we call trading SOPs, standard operating procedures. For this spread, the max we want to risk is this. For that, it's this. Unfortunately, I was about to say we'd like to say. I don't like to say it's written in blood, but that's the truth, folks. When the F-18 left the flight or left the St. Louis factory for the first time, I think the emergency procedures section was about 5 pages. A couple engineers, booger eaters saying, well, if this goes wrong, they can do this. Right now, I think the emergency procedure section in the Hornet is about 105 pages. Why? People screwed up. Things broke. So I'm going to teach you my SOP at Top Gun Options, and unfortunately, it's written in blood. So when we talk about risk management in your trading, the first thing you need to ask yourself before you place any trade is, how much can I lose? Before you got in here tonight, I'll bet you if I bumped into you when I was giving a speech, it happens, I'm in Vegas giving a keynote. Oh, I trade too. I'm in this trade right now. I look at somebody, I'm like, oh, that's great. How much can you lose? And they kind of look at me weird. Like, well, it's up right now. That's not what I asked you. What is your max risk? What's the first rule of investing, ladies and gentlemen? You ready for this? Don't lose money. But wait, most of you probably would have said the exact opposite, to make money. Here's a Yogi Berra-ism for tonight. You can't make money if you're losing money. The first rule of investing, folks, is not to lose money. It's called capital preservation. Then we can start about making money. So the second rule, see the first rule, folks. We want to make money consistently, right? The lady that ran the firm that I was up in Chicago, brilliant lady, and she had a saying. She's like, hey, man, we may not make the most money. We make money consistently, and that's what you want to see in your trading, is consistent profits, right? So risk management in your trading, for example, in CSX in this little demonstration, and again, we'll do these live for the rest of our time together until Wednesday. Here's an example that I have. Don't risk either 5 or 10% of your model portfolio, right? If we have a $50,000 model portfolio, max risk, ready? I'm a political science major from South Jersey. That's $5,000. Wiz, I have a smaller portfolio. What's 10% of that? Here's what I'm getting at, folks, is you don't want to put all your chips in. Usually when I do ask somebody who tells me, oh, I'm in a trade, I'm like, how much is your max risk? What can you lose? Sometimes they don't have the answer, man. A guy like me, it makes me start to shake. You have got to know your max risk. So we use at the money volatility. We look for high probability trades here at Top Gun Options, but we still manage our risk. Here's an example. Let's stick with that CSX example, right? Looks like it is range bound. So last week, we actually put on a bullish spread, right? Meaning, I don't think it's going to go down. But then I legged into a tactic called an iron condor because I don't think it's going to go up. Isn't this awesome, folks? Many people who are new to options are like, geez, well, the thing's going sideways. You can't make money. Folks, this isn't a stock. We're trading options here. I love being at a party with somebody who's like, oh, yeah, I trade CSX too. It's trading sideways. I'm not making any money. I'm like, it's trading sideways and I'm printing money. We're looking at a range-bound trade. So in this example, last week, and we'll show you our model portfolios tomorrow live in the market, we looked at what we call a bear call spread. So go back. It looks like CSX, the roof of this thing, was up here around 80. Everybody see this? It's kind of hidden right there. 80. We haven't seen above 80 in CSX. I think that would be its all-time high, right? So what did I do? I said, you know what? I don't think it's going to go above 80 by, in this example, we picked May 24th. So I'm going to teach you about options that they have a lot of, they're a contract, right? You use options all the time. I might want to buy this house. Here's the deposit, and this agreement's good for 30 days. You use options all the time in your life, folks. So I'm bearish, a little bit bearish, to neutral on CSX. Right? So what did I do? I went out in my live trade brief last week and we looked to sell the 80. I gave myself a little bit of altitude here, the 80.5 calls. That means, and again, if you're relatively new, we'll teach you all this stuff in your 8 sessions. Selling the 80.5 calls means I'm saying, hey, CSX, yeah, go ahead, Wiz. It's me. I don't think you're going to be above 80.5 by expiration on May 24th, and I'm going to trade 150 contracts. Why 150 contracts? Give me about 2 minutes. What if you're wrong, Wiz? What if, I don't know, next week Donald Trump comes out and says, just met with Nancy and Chuck. I actually signed the infrastructure bill already. We're building railroads all over the planet. And CSX has a rip your face off rally that day. Well, we're doing what is called a spread. So I'm actually going to buy some upside calls. The 81 in this case, the 81 calls are what we call the upside calls. So even if it does rip your face off, our losses are minimized, right? We're long CSX in case it goes above 81. So I'm neutral to bearish on CSX. I'm using calls and it's a spread. You ready for this blinding piece of brilliance? This tactic is called a bear call spread. Now, for the, 34% of you that said, I kind of know what calls and puts are. I remember getting into options 27 years ago. But anyway, wait a minute. It's a bear call spread. But it's also, somebody called it a credit spread. Well, yeah, you're getting paid to do this trade. You're taking in a credit. Oh, okay. Well, somebody also called it a vertical spread because, okay, let's simplify it. I'm bearish. I'm using calls and it's a spread. Yeah, it's a credit spread. Duh, we're taking in a credit of, in this case, the other day, or no, I took this screenshot today about, I think it was 14 cents, right? I'm going to teach you about a market. This is how much I'm going to pay for your house. Well, this is how much I'm asking for the house. That's the market, folks, right there. I'm going to look to get filled mid-market at this trade at about 14 cents. And tomorrow, live in the market, and Wednesday, I'm going to talk about a range, meaning, hey, for today, I'm going to maybe try and get it filled at 14 cents plus or minus, I don't know, maybe 2 cents, right? The most I'd go up to is about 16 cents, and the lowest I'd go is about 12. I will teach you why, if it's outside of that range, you probably don't want it, or you might have to change the strikes, okay? So this is just a very basic example of a tactic we did last week, a bear call spread. Now, as soon as I click this button, I want everybody, a couple hundred folks in this room, to look at one place and one place only, okay? And that's going to be, It used to be a sad face. Now it looks angry. Now I want you to look at this red face. You ready? Not mine. I was up on the roof today getting sun. 3, 2, 1. Right there, max potential loss. Everybody should have looked right here first, right? And I tried to do this when I was at Options House, right? We want to look at the max potential loss. $50,000 model portfolio, 10% is about $5,000. Using government Kentucky windage, about 50. That's the max. So on the screen before, I said 150 contracts. Give me 2 minutes. If you don't want to risk $5,200, you don't do 150. Whiz, I got a $25,000 portfolio, or my SOP, I don't want to risk more than $2,500 or $1,000 or whatever. You just scale the contracts, folks. Again, it ain't rocket surgery. But as the pilot in command of your portfolio, I'm going to teach you the first place you always look before you get airborne on this trade is max potential loss. Okay, you're the pilot in command of your portfolio, folks. The disclaimer in the building, I'm not a registered investment advisor. I don't give investment advice. I train people, folks. You have to be the pilot in command and acknowledge and go, you know what? I accept that. It's just like signing for the aircraft. When I went to fly in the Hornet, I'd read the whole maintenance manual, and at the last page, it had a blank space to put my name, date, and rank, and I own the airplane. So once you sit here and go, okay, I acknowledge that risk, or Wiz, I'm a billionaire, man. I don't mind risking $10,000 on a trade. Well, then you do 300 contracts. Everybody can do the mental math. But once you look at this and go, I'm good, I accept that max risk, you're being an aviator, you're being a professional options trader. Most of you, if I didn't force you to look at that angry or sad face, would have done what? As soon as I clicked on this slide, all of you except my TGO members would have done what? Hell yeah, I want to make $2,300 in a week and a half. Who doesn't? But you cannot expect to make $2,300 in 2 weeks if you do not accept the risk. Okay, so I'm going to teach you that live tomorrow and on Wednesday. And what's really cool about this trade, the bear call spread, is we make money 3 out of 4 ways on this trade. How? Well, as of market close or today, you see that blue line, kind of this dash line right there? Not my really crappy one, the one behind it. That's the price of CSX. How do we make money in this trade? Well, you ready for this? It can go down. Sweet. It can stay where it is, folks. It can hover around 78, $79. It can just hang out and you make money. Check this out. CSX can even go up a little bit as long as it stays above that point right there, which is what? The break even. I like doing trades that 3 out of 4 ways you can make money. Bear call spread. But when we're talking about risk management, I'm also, before we ever put on any trade, we're going to decide when to get out for max profit or exit, eject. I use like the dude in the CF18, or eject for minimum loss. Folks, we haven't even placed the trade yet, and we're deciding when we're getting out of it. For example, let's talk about the good. In this bear call spread, I have a rule. Here's part of my SOP. Write this down. 789. If I'm seeing, remember, folks, we're bringing in $2,250, $2,250. We are getting paid to do that trade. If I'm seeing a 70, 80, or 90% profit on that credit that I took in, I close the trade, man. So if I wake up one day and CSX is hovering, or I don't know, Donald Trump hates Democrats again, no infrastructure agreement, and CSX goes down, if I'm looking at a 70, 80, or 90% profit on that 2250, close the damn trade, folks. Look at this bullet point right here. No one has gone broke taking a profit. You know who's gone broke? People who have a 90% profit in this trade. Cool, Wiz, I'm up $2,000. But it's got about 5 days to go. I want that extra $250. You can fly around in your Superman cape picking up that extra $250 in front of a steamroller, and you'll pick it up a lot. And then someday your cape's going to get caught, and you're going to turn a $2,000 profitable trade into a 100% losing trade. Okay? I've done it. TGO members have done it. Don't do it. Use our lessons learned, right? So that's the good. All right, Wiz, I can see how in a live trade brief, you're telling me this is when I need to take profits. I'm telling you this is when I would take profits. Now let's talk about the bad. Wiz, this trade looks like it's losing an engine, man. CSX is going up for some reason. This is my SOP to eject. Exactly. Double the credit. Ladies and gentlemen, trading and combat flying fighter jets can be considered complex. How do you battle complexity? With simplicity. Here's a simple rule of thumb to remember. Double the credit that I take in. If I get paid 14 cents to do this, folks, what do I want to do with that 14 cents? I want it to go right into my pocket. I want all 14 cents or 13 whenever I take the profit. If that starts increasing, 16, 20, 22, CSX is going up and I'm losing money. I don't want to take that max loss, folks. Even though I said $5,250, check, I acknowledge that max risk. That leaves a mark, man. Let's get out of that thing instead of when both engines fail like that Canadian pilot. So I'll teach you this live in our time together going forward. I just double the credit that I take in. It's a good rule of thumb, man. It doesn't have to be very complicated. With a credit spread like this, double the credit. That's when I'm probably going to go, you know what? I'm giving this jet back to the taxpayers. I'm going to live to fight another day. Yes, good, awesome. Very, very kind comments. Again, I'm going to give you this warning. Why? Because people do it, right? Do not turn a 70, 80, 90% winning trade into a 100% loss. Please don't do that, okay? Pigs that get slaughtered. Go on, take the money and run. Woo-hoo, right? Stephen Miller. Go on, take the money and run. We want to let our winners run and cut our losers short. A lot of you in this webinar do the exact opposite. You cut your winners short and let your losers run, hoping. Hope ain't a strategy, folks. I'm going to teach you discipline. You have to stay disciplined. Manage risk, and then you're going to see that superior execution, right? Discipline, risk management, superior execution. Stephen Miller, I know. This week, we're also going to talk about a trudge, and this is the market where we need it. I was in the South Bend, Indiana airport a couple weekends ago on a Sunday. I gave a speech to Whirlpool Homes for Our Troops. They build homes for disabled veterans. I mean, my God, man, the guy that they donated the home to, legs blown off, traumatic brain injury. He can't obviously operate in a real house. Short story long, what I'm getting at is I was flying back through, it was in St. Joseph's, Michigan. And I was bummed that I couldn't see my good friend Tamara up there in the Miami of Canada, right? What happened? My phone literally started smoking in the airport. Donald Trump says he's going to increase tariffs and he's pulling back from the trade deal. Oh my God, everything started going nuts. Guess what happened? If you had what we had on, a trudge, you would have been happy. What's a trudge? Well, ladies and gentlemen, just look at the word. A trade, what do you want to do with a trade? Okay, dude, is this a trick question? I want to make money. I'm going to teach you that you need to hedge as well, but hopefully that loses money. Woo. Show up to a webinar about finance and the guy's telling me I want to lose money. With a hedge, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, I never got into the F-18, did a mission, landed, and got out and looked at the ejection seat and said, what a stupid waste of gas that was. I wish I had 800 pounds more gas in that ejection seat. No, man. So we're going to talk about a trudge this week. That is a trade that I think is going to make money, but if something goes wrong, ladies and gentlemen, the Chinese returned fire last week. Actually, they didn't. They said, on June 1st, we're going to increase tariffs back on you. What did the president say last Monday? We'll know in the next 3 to 4 weeks. When was 3 to 4 weeks from when he said that? June 1st. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, it's a little bit of a coin flip as to if this market is going to go up or it's going to implode. So I'm going to teach you how to trudge. And like I said, wizisms. Write this wizism down or take a screenshot. When not volume, volatility. When vol is cheap, you buy it. Yep, I will. I'll slow that down a little bit. Think about it, when volatility is cheap, does everybody remember what happened for the past 2 months with the volatility index? You ready for this? Nothing. In our briefs, what did we do? I'm like, Iran's getting ugly. Trade war with China. It could be a real war because of Taiwan and us sailing our ships through the. I briefed all this stuff, folks. How many times I told the TGO members, I'm like, kind of a Braveheart moment. Braveheart was on earlier. Love that movie. Kind of like when you see the whites of their eyes, get long volatility. What happened, man? The VIX went from 11, 12 the other day to the mid 20s. So when volatility is cheap, you get long. You buy volatility with both hands. Then what happens? When it's expensive, you sell it. So right now, a week and a half ago, what happened? Low volatility. Everybody's whistling past the graveyard. Oh my God, look at the tweet from the president. In the blink of an eye, the VIX went through the roof. Now it's staying elevated. Why? Whenever you see the word volatility, I'm going to teach you to put in the word uncertainty, because nobody knows. I don't even think he knows. He didn't even know what Sunday. Apparently, Ambassador Lighthizer called him from China and said, hey, man, apparently they think this is one of my most professionally defining moments when I heard this. Lighthizer said, Mr. President, the Chinese think you've been giving the Federal Reserve a bunch of grief because you're backed into a corner. The economy's not good. You're lying about all this stuff. We're putting out fake numbers. And, oh, by the way, they think they want to drag out negotiations a couple of years so they can deal with President Biden. How do you think Donald Trump reacted to that? So volatility is staying up here for a little bit. But think about when I worked out earlier on the treadmill, think about like a 10 incline on a treadmill at 10 miles an hour. I can do that for a little bit, and then it's got to come back to its resting heart rate, right? So we're going to talk about volatility tomorrow because it's going to stay elevated for a little bit, but then we call it a volatility crush. Volatility is going to smash when something's known, right? And on June 1st, we're going to know if the Chinese increase fire on us, and the president, the next round he's already got sitting on the catapult. He's already saying, I'm gonna keep my powder dry, but this might get worse. I told you that the president's got a boogeyman. He's got China and he's got Jerome Powell. So this wisdom I'm going to teach you tomorrow, or depending on what the market does tomorrow, it's either going to be tomorrow or Wednesday. Yes, whoever just said that. If you can't make it tomorrow, after I get done this next little session, because I want to keep us right on time, I'm going to show you the replay page. So this replay will be on that page. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock's replay, tomorrow night's sample training session, and then Wednesday. Everything's going to be on the replay page. Okay? Perfect. We are right on time. So now we're going to get airborne. I'm going to take 1 second and take a swig of Absolute here. I'm kidding. That's smart water. Even though I'm a Navy guy, that would be a little much. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you how to get airborne, and I've never done this before. If you joined me at the beginning, you heard that this is the first time in 10 years to Top Gun Options I'm going to do something like this. Why? Because this is what people have asked for. In the past, most people get to this point and are like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow morning, and I want to be a member. And what do I tell them? No. I usually wait until the last day to open up the Top Gun Options memberships. Tonight, I'm going to do it now. And here's the deal. If you get airborne tonight, you're going to make a hell of a lot of money. Real quick, Arnie. Arnie, I saw you in here earlier. Thanks for the kind words. Whiz, current TGO member. These are always a great review. He was talking about one of these. Trading a small account, I'm up over 75% in 3 months following your insights and tactics. 75% in 3 months. That's Arnie. Small account, folks. Ain't trading any huge numbers. JG, I would like to thank you, Wiz, for your mentoring and netting over 15K this month. Thanks for all you do. Ron, thanks for the 36 grand so far this year. You're welcome. Scotty, I'm up 8170, over $8,000 in closed trades, Facebook, S&P 500. Chuck, Wiz, I used your intel. I love the way he used that word. That's exactly what we do here at Top Gun Options, folks. Wiz, I used your intel and made $9,500 in 1 day shorting NDX and SPX options. Hell yes. Wow. No way, Tamara. That's phenomenal. I'll share that in a little bit. Dennis, Regarding the S&P and Apple trades plus Facebook and from accelerated retirement, last Wednesday I was calling you crazy. Wouldn't be a first. But after the market closed on Friday and banking over $6,000, I'm now calling you a genius. There's a fine line between crazy and genius, I guess, folks. This one really means a lot to me. Ron, like you said, 36 grand. Been trading with you since 2011. He's been here almost since the beginning. Started with a $6,000 account. It's up over 175 grand and now able to do larger trades. 6 grand Ron started with. Tears me up a little bit. I love helping out people. Greg, printing money with Amazon. I am up 31%, 14, almost 15 grand in 8 trading days on his Amazon. Folks, 2018 was lights out. I'd love to repeat that. We were just on fire. Last year was one of our best years since I was a young ensign in the United States Navy. I remember my first trade was with USAA. I was married. I think my wife kept Ann Taylor in business at the time, and I paid the American Express. First 2 stocks. So I've been doing this for a while, but our worst portfolio was 101% return on risk. And we're looking pretty good for 2018. Well, Wiz, I'd love to be in a hedge fund. No, you don't. Look at the smart money, how they're doing, folks. Look at this data. Look at the year-to-date average, what's that, 3,100 hedge funds. Look at those returns, ladies and gentlemen. You want to be in a hedge fund, folks? No, you don't, man. You can do this, right? Smart money. We're outperforming the hedge funds and the smart money. David Einhorn, this must be frustrating to you. What's frustrating? Yeah, dude, the S&P was up 22% and you returned 1.6%. Hell, you could have put that money in a Folgers can and made more money than David Einhorn. 1.6%, ladies and gentlemen. What's the other guy? Greenlight Capital. David Einhorn's hedge fund again, crushed in February. Ackman vows to end 3 years of underperformance. I don't think I've ever written an apology letter that, hey, I'm sorry I sucked for the past 3 years. Are you kidding me? That these people, and CNBC, the financial media love these folks. They can't trade their way out of a paper bag, man. This is it. Hedge funds suffer their worst start to the year since 2012. 125% return on risk, folks. About 100. What's that? That was a $1.88. $1.88, folks. The weekly options and urgent alert. 121, 106% return on risk. And here's the embarrassment. Accelerated retirement, 101 for just over 100 by $10. Could have went to Starbucks and lowered that down, right? So that's the smart money versus us, folks. Year to date, our primary is doing about 44-ish as of market close, about 57% return on risk. So a proven track record, ladies and gentlemen, proven. 10 years. You're not around here doing 10 years. But let me get this out of the way, man. And I said I'd use this as a recent example. Folks, you lose some battles, man. Trading's combat. The objective is to win the war. Losing trades happen. Let me channel my inner Don Rumsfeld, right? I couldn't stand the guy, to be honest with you. But he said this about combat, and I'm going to say it about trading. In combat and trading, there are known knowns. There are things we know that we know. Then there are known unknowns. There are things we know that we don't know. And then there are the unknown unknowns. Things that we don't know that we don't know. Let me give you a perfect example. 2.5 weeks ago, in a trade brief, Wall Street Journal, breaking news. What did Steve Mnuchin say? And full disclosure, folks, I had dinner with Steve Mnuchin. He ran Dune Capital in New York with my sister. I'm the underachiever in the family. My sister runs Dune Capital. She was a partner with. But what did the Treasury Secretary say? You ready for this, folks? China trade talks could wrap up by the end of next week. This is the Secretary of the Treasury, the president's point man on the China trade talks. What happened Sunday afternoon, man? Breaking news, Donald Trump's going to increase tariffs and tells Ambassador Lighthizer and Mnuchin to get on the airplane and to come home. What? This is the FXI, ladies and gentlemen. The FXI is the iShares China ETF. What happened? Holy shnikes. I took it right in the gut. Max loss on that trade. I was okay with that. No, I'm not okay with max loss. What I'm saying is I signed for the jet. That I knew the risk, everything that I just showed you. But folks, that was a kick in the gut, man. That's an unknown unknown. I know Donald Trump didn't know the Chinese were thinking that. So these things happen. Losing trades happen, right? Mnuchin was trying to be the, what's his name? Kevin Bacon at the end of Animal House, right? Remain calm, all is well. So there's a perfect example. If you ever come to one of these things and somebody talks about all their winning trades and we're awesome and everything like that, run away as fast as you can. Losing trades happen. You have to manage your risks so they don't leave a mark. That's what you need to do. Joel, actually former Marine, so he can barely spell the word options, and he did. Here's proof of how I turned 10 grand into a 20 grand trading options with just 3 months. Great job. He's out in Arizona, 3 months, 10 into 20. Joel, Semper Fi. I know I didn't see your name in here, but Joel. So 10 years ago, about-ish, when we got airborne, 10,000 bucks, about $3.8 million. That's an average annualized return of about 81%, man. That's pretty damn good. Some years sucked, but they were all positive. I mean, I think our 54%, just north of 50 was the worst. But, well, Wiz, I don't have 10 grand. Folks, I can't tell you what to start with. Most brokerage firms, I think Options or E-Trade, whatever it is now, it was Options House, Trade Monster, E-Trade, Thinkorswim, you name it. Everybody's eating everybody these days. But you can start with as little as a couple $1,000 bucks, folks. You don't need to have some sort of massive account here, right? What would you do with nearly $4 million? I went through Top Gun with this guy. No, his God-given name is not Shrek. That's his call sign. He looks like Shrek. Anyway, so Shrek and I went to Top Guns, didn't even know about investing or anything like that. Have a great weekend, brother. I'm going to put down my payment on a Cessna 210. That was my goal for the year, up 20 grand in 3 months. Byron Sullivan, call sign Shrek, going to be the commanding officer of one of the Marines' most elite squadrons. So Shrek doing some good work, buying a Cessna 210 here. So what do you need to trade successfully? Training, ladies and gentlemen. There is no such thing as financial education. The world's full of educated derelicts, to steal a little bit of a Calvin Coolidge. Plumbers are trained, fighter pilots are trained, doctors are trained. You need to be trained. A plan. I'm going to teach you our 7-step trade plan live in the market tomorrow that manages risk, contingency plan. And if things go wrong, like I had with the FXI trade, you debrief and you get lessons learned. What else do you need to trade successfully? Practical application. That's what we have in our live trade briefs. Some services out there just blast out trades to you, and it's, okay, I don't even know what that symbol is, but this dude's telling me to do this. Okay, no. You need a practical application with live trade ideas. How do I know this? I was you, man. Before Al Gore invented the internet, I was a young lieutenant in Lemoore, California. I had to go to the base library and find a book on options trading. I placed orders over the phone, so I was you. But whenever I kind of had one of these training or financial education sessions, I always had this and then what moment. I remember this guy, where was it? Somewhere outside of LA, gave this great hour-long speech about calls and puts and here's my Rolex and everything like that. At the end, he's like, okay, give us $5 grand for this big course. I'm like, okay, now once I learn what a call is and a put is, you tell me where to, what to trade, right? Or what I should look at. Okay, next question. I had these and then what moments. I'm like, now what do I do? Great, I know what skew is, gamma, all these. I know how an options trade works. Where do I fish, man? So I built all this stuff for you. I built the Options News Network for me, and I put the ladder down. So this was built, ain't necessarily for me, but for people like me. I've simplified everything, folks. So you're going to get access to all of our live trading Monday through Thursday. So on Mondays, we do weekly options at 1 p.m. Okay, weekly options, very tactical. We'll explain what they are. But weekly options, it's about a 30-minute session every Monday. Every Tuesday, we do what's called the PLTB, the primary live trade brief at 1 p.m. Wednesday, AR, usually at 1 p.m. And if you're a skier, I guess you're kind of noticing the little symbols here, different portfolios, different mindsets, different skill sets. And then on Thursday, we do a weekly debrief. Analyze your trade and weekly debrief at 1 p.m. Now, if you're really paying attention, you're like, well, there's nothing on Friday. So, folks, I do more work on Fridays than I do the whole week. That is when I do one-on-one coaching with my coaching clients. We can talk about that down the road if you're interested in it. We come up with a trading plan just for you, and we trade together for a year. That's further down the road. So here's what you're going to get with what's called Full Throttle. And again, this is the first time in 10 years I'm doing this, so this is going to be fun. That's about 1997. If you cobbled all that stuff together, it's 1997. Real quick, though. Whiz, I worked during those times. During our last survey, which was 2 years ago, but 85% of our TGO members work for a living. They can't attend these sessions live. Some people watch them at night when the kids go to bed, or maybe during a break at work or something like that. So we send out time-sensitive text alerts. Look at that. There's the CSX trade, or one of the that's the bull put spread actually right there. That's a screenshot of my cell phone. So during the brief tomorrow, I'm actually going to send out a text alert live in front of everybody. What do I also do? I press send an email. You ready for this? You get an email alert as well. Here's what the email looks like. PLTV members, there's this, and I insert the trade into it. So the text alert, hieroglyphic, email alert has the screenshot of the trade. And then what happens? About 30 minutes after we get off our live trade brief, it takes about, 20, 30 minutes for the session to render, and then I post it on the member page. So in about 30 minutes afterwards, the replay will be posted live. So you don't have to be there. The next thing you get, in addition to the 4 live trade briefs throughout the week, you're going to get access to 8 training sessions. These are about 8. If you just went and did this, they're about $897. Session 1. Hey, man, here's our trading methodology. Here's where we get our intel, all sorts of stuff. Then what do? This is a call. This is a put. The basics of options. And we take what? A building block approach. We do these at night, glass of wine. We hang out, hour and a half, however long it takes for everybody, all of the Full Throttle members in that room to give me a vertical head nod. Got it? So, building block approach, 8 training sessions. And as soon as you sign up tonight, you're going to get access to when's the last time we did it? March? Get in there right now and start watching the last sessions from months ago. We only do this a couple times a year, folks. Only let 50 people in. We keep a nice, tight-knit squadron. So when you sign up tonight or before Wednesday, get in there and start watching the previous ones, because guess what? An Iron Condor was an Iron Condor 10 years ago, and it'll be an Iron Condor 10 years from now. It's just the underlying intelligence that changes, right? And back in the old days, man, this used to be what they charged for. Man, the trainings, you give it away. It's the practical application where you make your money. Also going to give you access tonight, starting tonight, to our proprietary materials, primary, intermediate, advanced workbooks. Wow, that sounds like it's in a good order. I stole this from Naval Air Station Pensacola and Naval Aviation, folks. When you showed up, you went through primary flight training, you went to intermediate, then you went to advanced, then you got your wings. These things, again, on our website, you can go buy them right now. All 3 of them combined are about $197. You're going to get those in there as well. So a reminder, here's what you get. Access to those 4 live skill-based trade briefs, Monday through Thursday. You get text and email alerts right to your cell phone, right to your email box. You get access to those 8 Full Throttle training sessions, all the archived ones. And here's what's better. I haven't determined when taking a look at the calendar, when we're going to start up the next 8. But guess what? The whole time, the rest of the time you're a member in good standing here, you get access to the next Full Throttle sessions. The new 50 folks that come in that you get to haze and make them go get your coffee or buy you a drink. Hell, we've got, what's his name, been here almost since 2000. He goes to every Full Throttle next new 8 sessions, and he's like, Whiz, didn't know that. I picked up 5 new things about you today. Harry says the same thing. Tamara, all these folks, they come to all the future, no, it would be present, all the Full Throttle training sessions. You get access to those going forward. And obviously, you get the 3 manuals. How much does it cost? You ready for this? This is the first time in 10 years I'm going to do this. It depends. If you take action tonight, I'm going to give you a 45% discount. I don't like the term early bird. If you get airborne before everybody else, tomorrow morning, tomorrow night, or when we close the doors Wednesday, I'm going to hook you up, because you're the type of person I want to trade with. To be honest with you, Some of the other folks where if it takes you 4 live trading sessions to figure out if you like me or you like our system, those end up being the squeaky wheels. So it depends. If you get airborne tonight, I'm going to hook you up with a discount. Full throttle max tomorrow night, and Wednesday is $29.95 for a year. Tonight, only on this webinar, I'm going to offer it for $497 a quarter. Do the math real quick. It's about $1,000 off, $497 a quarter. Here's where you need to go. Go.topgunoptions.com/yes. That one's easy to remember. Go.topgun. Yeah, sure. I'll put that in the chat box. Ready? Go.topgunoptions.com/yes. I think I typed that right. Do I have my glasses on? I look old in my glasses. So, kind of an early, but it is, Harry, thank you. You know why I did this, Harry, is because for the past 10 years, usually in the Monday night intro, a bunch of people are like, I don't need to see anymore. I'm ready to get airborne. I'm like, but wait, there's more. Like the Ronco guy in the blue shirt. I'm like, that's pretty stupid, man. So, early bird, 45% discount starting tonight. If you wait to Wednesday when we close the doors, it is $29.95, period. I'm a man of my word. Trust me. It's 29. That's for the highest level. It's cheaper than that, and we have monthlies too. But I'm wanting the Tamara stuff. But I'm going to hook you up. 45% discount, and that's tonight only. And I'm a man of my word. Trust me. So why do I do this, man? Because the folks that do are the motivated ones. I want to work with motivated people. Okay. 45% discount tonight. Go.topgunoptions.com/yes. So $29.95 tomorrow night, Wednesday, and probably until we do our next full throttle. I'm going to, for the folks who stayed tonight, who stayed till the end, I told you I was going to hook you up with something cool, and I did. Trading and combat, folks, they're both complex. How do we battle complexity? What did I say earlier? Man, trading looks complex. It ain't. Simplify it. This is an easy to follow system, folks. Superior training. Folks come to this training over and over. Hell, I remember my last flight in the F-18 Hornet, man. I remember getting out of that jet, besides crying, and going, man, I didn't know the jet could do that, or I could do it. I learned something. Up until I'm pushing up daisies, folks, I'm going to learn something every day. But superior training, risk management, discipline, and practical application with the live trade briefs. It's easy to follow, man. Poor kid from South Jersey. I'm one of 6 kids. Lower middle class Irish Catholic family, man. I had to bust my ass my whole life, man. So I like making things simple, and I like helping other people. So you got 2 choices. This is do nothing, right? There's no hockey on tonight, so you're going to end up doing nothing. You can do nothing. Or you can get airborne tonight and trade your trading supersonic. That deal, yeah, whoever just asked, that deal is only for tonight, folks. Okay. That's only for tonight. Well, no, only new folks. This deal tonight for new folks. Okay. And I'll answer all the questions in a little bit, but you need to act now. Only to this brief, ladies and gentlemen. New folks only. You bet. So go.topgunoptions.com/yes. And I'll show you the page here. Okay. And I'll start answering some questions. And then we'll wrap. Perfect. I went over by 3 minutes. Crap. I went over by 3 minutes, which means during our next live event, I owe everybody 3 shots every minute. Well, I better stop talking and tell you that rule. At Top Gun Options, our motto was you train like you fight and you fight like you train. I'm going to train you to be the best options trader in the world by using tactics, techniques, strategies, honed over the skies of Iraq, and then taken to Wall Street, well, Jackson and LaSalle to the Board of Trade. You train like you fight, and you fight like you train. Go.topgunoptions.com/yes. Okay. All right. So I went over by 3 minutes. If I'm going to go a little bit longer to answer your questions, I can't be on the hook for having to buy people drinks at our next live event. And we haven't done one. That's my fault. We got to get airborne with that. All right. So let me scroll back. Maybe I'll take didn't want to go this long, but I will. If you asked a question, I need to respect that and get an answer, or let me remind you about what the flight schedule is going to be. Let me do that. Let me put this up here and just so people can see what we're doing. All right. So what are we doing? We just knocked out the welcome aboard brief, and I will put my glasses on to answer questions. And it got dark in here. So we're done the welcome aboard brief. Welcome aboard. 1 p.m. tomorrow, the primary live trade brief. Okay, we're going to do the PLTB. We got to talk about CSX, Raytheon. We're going to talk about Amazon. Need to take a look at emerging markets with Brazil, and one of our trades probably get neutral on Brazil. Had a little bit of a rebound today. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m., it's going to be a lot more relaxed, laid back. We're going to take a look at, synthetic stock or verticals. I'm going to give you a sample of what one of those 8 sessions is going to look like. Okay, so that's going to be tomorrow night at 7. And then, about 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Wednesday morning, we're going to do what's called AR, Accelerated Retirement. And then at 11:01 or whenever we hang up, we're going to be done. Okay, and whoever's on board is on board. So yeah, just take a screenshot of that. You're going to, if you're watching me right now, folks, you registered. So you're going to get an email with the link to get into the room, so you don't have to, hey, where's the link? Or you will get a link from GoToWebinar before the session. All right, let me ripple through some questions here. Varouge, I hope I said that right. Is this system comparable to Simpler Options by Jay Carter? Varouge, I got to be honest with you, man. I have no idea who Jay Carter is. Jesse. I use for training, E-Trade just because they really do have some good trade analysis. It's good to teach from, but I forgot to ask, are there any veterans or first responders or active duty personnel on this brief? Give me a Y in the chat box. You served, you're serving, or you're a first responder, police or fireman. Michelle, Michael, Scott, thank you for your service, retired Army. Oh my God, look at this, Michael, Jesse. Here's why. So ladies and gentlemen, I teach using E-Trade, but Trade Station gives commission-free trading to veterans and first responders. Robert, USMC and USAF. Man, I got 2 jokes in there. Robert, thank you for your service. Mike, USN. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. I will say this slowly, especially for the Marine and Air Force guy, Robert. Trade Station, commission-free for veterans and first responders. You're welcome. Based on the amount that I trade, it's a trip with the kids, folks. Yeah, I can hook you up with my contact there, but it isn't. You're welcome. Jesse, Scott, now all these. Well, now you got to join. I told Shrek about that. Within 6 months, he told me $6,000 in commissions. So thank the good men and women over at Trade Station for hooking up their veterans and first responders. But I expect all of you who just said yes, now you're going to sign up tonight, and I'm going to hook a brother and sister up. Okay, let me scroll. Thanks, Harry. Appreciate the kind words. I do try and keep it simple, man. Jerome, I'm not a big futures guy. If I was ever going to do something like that, it would be on a Friday, and I'd bring somebody else in to do it. Rick, haven't figured out who to ask for coffee yet. Rick, we'll get some new members in here tonight, and then you can do that. Yeah, exactly. That was another trade. Kevon, which brokerage allows spreads approval without margin account and large deposit? Kevon, you have to be approved for level whatever it is, options trading, and we'll talk about that in our first full throttle training session. I'm going to go through all of this stuff, okay, in detail. But worst comes to worst, all you have to do is pick up the phone and you can call those individual brokers. Mary, yeah, no, you don't. I mean, I just showed you a couple folks Ron LeDuc started here 2011 with a $6,000 account. He's up to $1.75, and he's doing really, really well. Ishmael, thank you. Good, welcome aboard, man. Yeah, I'm going to hold to that, folks. This is trying this once for the first time in 10 years. Folks who really, really, really are motivated, this happens every full throttle on Monday night after the welcome aboard brief. People are like, hey, I'm ready now. And I'm like, But wait, there's more, and that's stupid. So I'm going to hook you up. Okay. Yep. Absolutely. No, as I said, Rebecca. No, first of all, you serve as a stay-at-home mom. Thank you for your service and your little ones. But no, we stay-at-home moms, grandmas, grandpas. We have a wide swath of people, so to speak. You know, when I woke up this morning, I didn't think I'd use the word swath, and I just did. But Rebecca, if the baby's sleeping or whatever, or and you can't make it, text alerts, email alerts, and then you can watch the replay later at night when it's you time. So good, awesome. Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely, you're welcome. And like I said, this is tonight only. This is a 45% discount for the early birds. I'm going to come up with a better name. Tamara and Harry, that's your job. Not in early bird special. It sounds like I'm going to dinner at was it Golden Corral or something like that. Yeah, Quentin. Yeah, that's what you will rebill at. That's one of the. Oh, thank you for asking that, Quentin. That's one of the great benefits. Ron Leduc, Amy, Steve. There's a bunch of folks who. You ready for this? Right now, Full Throttle Max on Wednesday is $29.95. Right. There are people here, when I rolled out Full Throttle, 8 years ago, there are people here that are still rebilling annually at $4.95. So it's gone up to $29.95 during that period of time. You know how much they pay? That. I can't stand when companies or people do stuff like that. Like, you're locked in, man. I'm raising my son to trade options, both of them, Jack and Matthew, and they want to go in the military as well. So hopefully TGO is going to outlast me. But yeah, as long as I'm pushing up or not pushing up daisies, that's the rate you will pay. You're welcome. That is, Kevin. Yes, come on. That's exactly what we send out trade alerts, Kevin. So I showed you a text message and I showed you an email alert. I get those sent out. Chris, you bet. I just answered that. Joe, Joe gets a good star, a gold star. Early bird equals incentivized early adopters. Joe, I appreciate your humor. You get a gold star. I think that's a little long though. Incentivized early adopters. IEA. We'll call them IEAs. So IEAs tonight, folks, $4.97 for a quarter, which is a 45% discount. When I see you guys tomorrow and say good afternoon, welcome to the Primary Life Trade Brief, this one's going away. This deal goes away. This is for the folks who are really motivated and want to get airborne, okay? Because I like working with those people. I like and I'll be honest with you, some of the folks down the road are a little squeaky wheelish, and my better half, my wife, who runs customer support here at Tonkin Options, has to deal with a lot of folks, and she needs some love because of it. So if you're going to wait until Wednesday, you're gonna pay the regular price. This is only on this webinar tonight. All right, guys, I'm going to cut it short by 3 minutes. I actually went over a little bit, and I apologize, but I'm very passionate about what I do. Hopefully, you can tell that. The live trade briefs during the day, I try and stick to it to the minute. And this, like I said, this is the first time in 10 years I've done this. So if you'll indulge me a little bit, I went a little bit long because this will get tighter and this will get better. Jesse, I can hook you up. Yeah, you know what, Tamara? That's pretty good. The Go With Your Gut discount. That's a good one, Tamara, because a lot of the folks that, like, when we did, Tamara's been here for a while, when we did like a week-long Full Throttle, I opened up all the trading sessions. The people who usually were the last ones to get on board before we closed the doors ended up in the PETA, so to speak. Jesse, become a member and I'll hook you up because I got to go through my emails. And his name, first name's Mike, and what the hell's his name? Who are some of my vets in here? Before I sign off here. Jesse, come tomorrow and remind me or sign up tonight. Real quick, folks, if you sign up tonight and you got some questions, let me show you real quick. Get into the ready room. I didn't even brief that's a benefit. So in the fighter squadron, we have essentially our living room, right? Before you go flying, after you go flying, you hang out. And we call that the ready room. It's our interactive forum. So hey, who's the best broker or cheapest or this or that? These are our threads. You can get in here and ask those type of questions. Hey, who's the contact at trade station? Hey, I'm in this trade, or all sorts of stuff. So there's some good stuff in the ready room. So you can, Jesse, if you become a member, you can ask that question in here. I'm sure somebody will jump in there and answer it. Okay. All right, man. I had a blast. I'm very fired up about this new kind of offer where I'm still going to open up the doors, folks, because I'm not the 100-slide guy. Give me some money and then see what we do. I want you to see what we do. I want you to be in the brief tomorrow with our members. We're going to take a look at our CSX, Raytheon, Amazon. We're going to take a look at live trades tomorrow. We're going to add some new trades. We might adjust some trades or eject or whatever we need to do. We're going to do some good work. Michelle, is that really okay? I'll look into that. So, Kevin, if you did, we can hook you up with that. Like I said, we'll talk in the ready room, or when we do these 8 training sessions at night, Kevin, maybe we'll start them in a couple weeks or something like that. We usually do Tuesday and Thursday nights. So during these sessions right here, man, right now, since we have so many people, we're in what's called go to webinar. When we do our training, we're in, you ready for this? Go to training. So this is how everybody starts becoming friends. Harry, Tamara, Steve, Amy, they all form bonds and stuff like that. So when we're in go to training, Kevin, some other folks can help you out with that question. So right now we're in go to webinar because we had 2,500 people registered for this. When we're all together in our intimate sessions, we're all shooting the shit back and forth with each other. So hopefully take me up on the offer. Otherwise, tomorrow or Wednesday, you're going to be paying the regular Full Throttle prices. And somebody asked, we do have monthly subscriptions, monthly memberships. I'll open those up tomorrow. Tonight specifically, I wanted to hook the folks up who wanted to get on board and are motivated. Have a great rest of your night. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. Try the veal. Mike Matheson. Tamara got it. I'll brief you guys on that tomorrow. Have a great night. Try the veal. Tip your waitresses, your bartenders. I'll see you all tomorrow at 1 o'clock for the primary live trade brief, or I'm going to see you on the replays. Have a great rest of your night. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and God bless. Welcome aboard to all of our Full Throttle members, especially you, Robert, Semper Fi, and thanks for your service. God bless, my brother, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.